Hello viewers, welcome to the Sister Wives News Update. I hope you are well by God's grace. Please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. Review: Theresa Caputo Live. The experience. Some events leave a lasting impact on you. I don't know about everyone else, but seeing Hamilton for the first time was one of these life-changing events. I felt my world shift profusely due to the overall experience of witnessing something out of this world. It feels like there's a clear distinction between two periods of your life. Whatever colorless world you lived in before, and the bright and vibrant one you discover when you leave the show. Seeing Theresa Caputo live. The experience was just as life-changing and awe-inspiring, but in a different way for a different reason. I watched Theresa Caputo for years on her TLC series, Long Island Medium. However, it wasn't consistent. Then last year, on a staycation, I marathoned the entire series and became obsessed with the life and work of Caputo. So when I saw a Facebook ad for an upcoming live show in Detroit, my mother and I jumped at the opportunity to see Theresa Caputo in person for ourselves. Neither of us knew what to expect, although we did attend a show with psychic Sylvia Brown, so we were excited and nervous about what could happen when we arrived at the Masonic Temple. What we got was a night that enlightened not just us, but everyone else that gathered together for messages from our loved ones. Continue on to see if the Theresa Caputo live experience is for you. While I am reviewing the Theresa Caputo live, the experience, I won't be discussing the stories or messages given to people by the medium herself, as that felt too personal in some cases. Instead, I'll talk about the experience as a whole, and what you can expect from that. Theresa Caputo and her gift. As stated above, Theresa Caputo is most known for her television show, Long Island Medium, which aired for 14 seasons on TLC. In the reality series, cameras follow Caputo as she tries to balance her everyday life with her family and her job as a medium. As a medium, Caputo communicates with the deceased, a gift she uses in a career that began later in life. Through her gift, she's able to bring about emotional healing for those still present on this side, which is the crux of her career. While being a medium would be interesting enough to watch, Theresa Caputo also has a sassy attitude paired with her accent, which is endearing and enjoyable to watch. People notice her the moment she walks in the room, with large hair, stellar nails, and a voice/laugh that is easily recognizable and can be heard from across the room. Regardless of whether you believe in her gift or not, it's hard to deny that Caputo has a larger-than-life personality and can command a room through her silliness and massive heart. Long Island Medium came to an abrupt end back in 2019 without much reason. Some believed it to be because of the personal issues she was going through, as she and her husband separated and eventually divorced, while others thought the cancellation came about because of the global pandemic, which began a few months after the final episode rolled. However, between the current tour and the recently announced sequel series at Lifetime, Theresa Caputo proves that she's not one to slow down or allow naysayers to stop her from what she believes is a mission from God. This leads us to the main event, the reason I and hundreds of others were gathered in an old cathedral to see Theresa Caputo's gift for ourselves. However, between the current tour and the recently announced sequel series at Lifetime, Theresa Caputo proves that she's not one to slow down or allow naysayers to stop her from what she believes is a mission from God. This leads us to the main event, the reason I and hundreds of others were gathered in an old cathedral to see Theresa Caputo's gift for ourselves. However, between the current tour and the recently announced sequel series at Lifetime, Theresa Caputo proves that she's not one to slow down or allow naysayers to stop her from what she believes is a mission from God. This leads us to the main event, the reason I and hundreds of others were gathered in an old cathedral to see Theresa Caputo's gift for ourselves. The Long Island Medium in action. The experience began about 7:30 p.m. after the doors opened about an hour prior. Everyone gathered in their seats, with me and my mother seated in the fourth row from the front. Before Theresa Caputo made her way on stage, which was set up with a small table covered in lit candles and a few crystals, She had the national anthem played while a picture of a mystically billowing flag played on a large screen located behind the setup. She asked everyone to stand and show their respect, and after the show of patriotism, Caputo finally made her way onto the stage and the festivities began. Before she descended the stairs and began the readings, the Long Island medium stood on stage, describing her process and explaining what audience members could expect from the experience. She indicated that her gift comes in the form of images and symbols that she uses to communicate messages to those present. She stated that it's possible that while a message might be meant for one specific person, the healing can be meant for others present who need to hear something similar. The process she described is not far from the healing aspects of group therapy, something I could easily understand and support. She also apologized that she couldn't read every one of us present, as that would take too long and expel a lot of energy to do so. Once the reading began, it was understandable as to why she made the above statement. Theresa Caputo's approach to her messages wasn't to fly through the group and shoot off willy-nilly messages. Instead, she spent a significant amount of time with each group that she stopped and spoke with. Sometimes it was no more than 5 or 10 minutes, but for many people, it was closer to 20 minutes. Whatever time she dedicated to each message was dictated by whom she was talking to, and what their loved ones on the other side determined they needed to hear. You could tell that some more skeptical people took a bit more time to be convinced than others who bought into Caputo's talent before attending. However, the moment that it clicked for these individuals was awe-inspiring, watching realization dawn on their faces, usually with some form of emotions. I'm not here to convince you one way or another if what Theresa Caputo does is real. I believe that it is. Having grown up in a family that was open to experiences such as tarot cards and psychics, this was exactly in my wheelhouse. But let me tell you, whether you believe it or not, being there and seeing what she did, and the information she could tell you about these people and their loved ones was impressive. Caputo would pull something that seemed completely off the walls out of thin air, and it would mean something to those present or relate to the deceased person almost perfectly. Pieces of information that would be near impossible to find about someone you knew, let alone strangers in a crowd. And yet, she did it over and over. She would walk around the room, through the rows of seats, providing as many messages as she could to those present for the 2.5-hour show. She'd walk, stop, turn, and begin talking, sharing information about something, relating it to the person. Each time she provided information to prove who the person was, and then would provide whatever message they needed to pass along. When she was done, she'd move along. The experience was incredibly emotional, with me and my mother, along with everyone else, crying together for people who are still grieving, no matter how long it's been since their loved ones had passed. Your heart breaks with them, but throughout the show, we all gained a bit of healing. The highlight of the entire experience, though, was when Theresa Caputo came over to stand by me not once, but twice, to deliver a message to someone else. Both times she conversed with me for a bit of light banter, adding some humor to her show. It was fantastic and added to the realism of this larger-than-life individual.